Hello, and welcome to my tutorial series on how to make a 2D platformer in Unity. In this video, we will be adding jump and falling animations to our character. Let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our art folder here, and these are all the Pixel Adventure assets that we downloaded from the asset store up here, and the one I'm using is Virtual Guy. And as you can see here, we have a falling animation and a jumping animation. If I click on this, we will see over here that pixels per unit. And if you remember, we've been making this 16, so our character isn't super tiny. And we're going to do the same. We got to hit apply. And then we're going to do the same thing with the jump. We're going to change that to 16. It's going to tell us to apply it again. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to our assets folder. We're going to click on scripts. And we're going to go into our player controller script. So in our player controller script, we're going to go up to the top. And remember a couple videos ago, we were talking about our enumerations here. Well, we're going to add one more to it. We have our idle, our run, our jump, and we're going to add falling for our falling animation. Then we're going to go down to our velocity state function. And here in if state equals state.jump, there's nothing here. We haven't applied anything to this state. We're going to put another if statement, and it's going to say if rb.velocity.y is less than 0.1f brackets, and then the state is going to equal state with a capital S dot falling with a semicolon. So what we're saying is that if our velocity in the y direction, our velocity going up and down, becomes less than 0.1f, which basically means that he's just starting to slow down as he reaches the peak of his jump, then it's going to go into the falling state. And then we're going to apply the animation right after this, so the animation will start playing. And so after this, after we transition him from jump to falling, we want an else if, and we want a state is going to equal state dot falling. Actually, what we want, like the others, is we want a double equal sign. And then we're going to put our brackets. And then if the state is going to equal state dot falling, we are going to put another if statement. And here we're going to put collider dot is touching layers, and that layer, as we did last time, is called ground. We're going to put another bracket, and then we're going to say state equals state, oops, that should be a capital S, state dot idle, and a semicolon. So in the first part, we were saying if his state is jump and he's starting to fall, if his velocity goes below 0.1f, then he's going to be falling. Then if he's falling, if he's in this falling state and he hits the ground, he's going to go back to his idle animation. So let's go back into the Unity editor and start adding our animations. Hit save. Back in the editor, we're going to go into our assets folder and we're going to go to animations. And remember a few videos ago how we created the player idle animation and the run animation? Now we're going to create two more animations. We're going to go right down here to animation, and we're going to call this one jump, and we're going to make another one called falling. And then we're going to go back up here into our animator, and as before, we had our entry point that goes to our player idle animation, then that goes to our run animation and back. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just using my mouse wheel to zoom out a bit and move it over so we have a little room to work with. And then I'm going to add in our jump animation and our falling animation. And we'll move our exit over here for another time. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create transitions like we did here to jump and falling. So we want to be able to go from our run to our jump and our idle to our jump. And then from our jump to our falling and back to idle again. So we're going to right click, click on make transition. So we're going to make a transition to the jump. We're going to go to the jump and we're going to make a transition and we're going to send it back to the run. And we're going to repeat this process for our idle. Back to our jump. And then we're going to make one from our jump to our falling. And remember, he's not going to come back from falling to jump. He's just going to go from jump to falling. And then we're going to make a transition from falling to idle. So when he's in the idle position, if we hit our horizontal key, he goes to run. If we hit our spacebar to jump, he goes to jump. And when we let go of our run button or horizontal button, he goes back to idle. Once he starts, if he's not jumping, he's going to go to falling. And then once he hits the ground, because remember, we'll go back to our script for a second. We put this in here that, if he's in the falling state and if he's touching the ground layer that we created in the last video, then once he's touching the ground, he's going to go back to idle. So the one thing we have to do is just set up our transitions. So we're going to click here, and here's our settings from last time. We're going to click off the has exit time, click off the fixed duration, and then we're going to simply make that 0. And we did this with these others right here. Nothing new here. So we're going to go back to this. And in our conditions, we're going to go back to our state. And if our state is equal to, and remember, everything had a number. So remember, player idle, that was 0. Let's go back and look at this again. Go back to the top. Player idle is 0, run is 1, jump is 2, and falling is 3. So going back to our editor, we're going to say, as we go from run to jump, we want to go from this, we want to go into our 2 state. And then likewise, we want to go back, hit this, go to equals, and he's going to go back to the 1 state. And we're going to repeat this process for these other transitions. Click this off, click the fixed duration off, go to 0. We're going from player idle to jump. So we're going to add our condition, our state equal to 2. Then we're going to go, as we're going from jump to idle, fix our settings, turn off our exit time, fixed duration, back to 0. Go here, if state equals, and now we're going back to 0, so we don't have to change anything. Now we have this transition, and I'll just move a little faster here. We're just repeating the same steps over and over again. State equals, and now remember, this is 0, 1, 2, and this is going to 3. And our last transition, off, 0, and our state is going to equal 0. So go up here. Let's save this and see how we did. So we're going to go over to our game here, and I'm going to take our animator window, and I'm just going to move it here. And you don't have to do this part. I just want to show you how this all went together. We haven't added the actual animations into our falling and jumping, but we can still see that the transitions work. So when I hit play, as you can see, our player idle is playing. when I run, he runs. And when I hit jump, he goes into his jump transition. And it kind of happens quick, but he does go into falling. So let's move him over. Let's have him jump up. Oh, forgot we put in a ground. All right, so now when I run over and I hit jump, he should go into falling. And as you can see, he did right there. So that's exactly what we wanted. Now let's add in our animations and put a bow on this. So from here, we're going to open up our animation window. I have mine right here, but if you don't, you can click on any of the animations right here and it will open. Or you can go up here to Window and go to Animation and hit that. Or as it said right there, you can also hit Control-6 to get it there. I'm going to take my window. I'm just going to pick it up here for a second, just so we can see it. And then we're going to hit player. And then right here, actually, I'm going to move this window more center. And I'm going to open it up a little bit so you can see everything. There we go. So I have my player idle animation right here that we put in. We're going to go to, we'll start with jump. And we're going to go back here to the art folder. Going to go to my virtual guy. Here is the jump animation I wanted. We're just going to drop that right in there. It's just going to be one picture. It's not going to be a whole series of pictures like these were over here with the run and the idle. Then we're going to go and we're going to go to falling. And we're going to grab our falling animation and we're going to drop it in. It's just a single picture like this one also. I'm going to take my animation window, drop it back here. And then I'm going to hit save. Okay, let's see how this all looks. I'm gonna hit play. Hello guys. Runs, he jumps, and he's not going into his falling animation. Let's see if we have a problem here. Go to our animator, go to our jump transition. This looks fine. Let's go check out our script. And, oh, I see it already. See right here, our jump bracket for our if statement goes all the way down there. It's putting all the if statements inside this if statement. We don't want that at all. We want that bracket to be right there. So it's if, then else if, then else. So that should clean up that problem. Gonna let our stuff compile a second. Go back to our game, hit play. And now when I hit jump, he goes right into his fall animation. And now I can sort of go both ways also. He flips and it looks like we're making some good progress here. In the next video, we'll do some we'll add some things to add a little more precision to our character, and then we'll move on to the other components of the game. As always, thank you for watching. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and support me on Patreon. All links are in the description below. See you next time.